that okay?
Because I know for sure my mom told me, do not
Show me.
That's my baby.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Completely understand. It's common. That's okay. Yep, so we'll come back in a few minutes. Perfect.
What year did you start? 1996? That was in 83.
Yeah, something like that, but it was the hospital. So, all the nurses, when I guess harvest time when they graduate, they get a cake, like in the olden days. So that's the hospital where she graduated. Something like that, yes. Yeah. Yes, that's what it was. Yes, that's what it was. Exactly. That's the only reason. Yeah, that's the only reason. But they were suggesting what they can do is take red Vita, which is fun. I think they also put it easiestly, not indoor, but they vary the weather, which is kind of nice. What do you think? Yeah, it's so nice. And now they can use it forever. What happened was the night before. Later that same night, I guess. So I was holding her hands, and my hands were cold. It's almost a sign. But my hands were cold. Right, it's almost like a sign. My hands were cold, all her hands were warm. And my hand, when I was holding her hands, they were so hot, right? Like so warm. And my hands were we got to see her. That was the last one. Yeah.
Yeah. I go, thank you. That's exactly. I have a hard day. I worked hard. I know, but it happens really. Well, I don't understand what happened.
She fell, and so her pelvis broke and then pulled a knee.
What the hell are they doing?
The nurses, you know.
I'm just gonna make some announcements. We're gonna give her Folks, we're just going to take a couple of minutes here. We'd like to provide the family with some final time at Mom's casket. So if you wish to just file by your casket, spend as much time as you wish. Once you've had that opportunity to say goodbye, maybe we'll just have the family gather out the foyer just for a couple of minutes, and then our staff will close the casket. Once we've had that opportunity to close the casket, we'll then start the service. Okay, so if you want to take some time, again, once you've had that opportunity, just please wait at the foyer. Okay, thank you. We'll just be a couple of minutes if you just want to wait in the foyer. Okay, we won't be long. So. Those two rings.
When you have lost somebody that you love, do not make the mistake of choosing to live in sadness or living small to honor their absence. You owe it to them to live even more vividly, even more vibrantly than before. Because love is this energy. It's so powerful, it's so all-consuming that when the person that you felt the love for is gone, you become this vessel. You become this vessel of a boundless source of power that feels like it has nowhere to go. So you harness it. You use it to burn even more brightly than before and live even more loudly than before. You share the love that you felt for that person with all of the other special people in your life. Because that love is limitless. There's no end to it, and there never, ever should be. And if you're struggling to move on, to find a way to carry on without them, this is it. You use the love. You carry them with you in all that you do, using their love as your source. You tell their stories, you mention their name, you feel their love, and then you share it. You don't let the pain of losing them overshadow the love that they created while alive. And in doing that, you make them count. And you remember that grief is the price that you pay for love divine. The stronger that you love, the deeper the grief. But love always wins in the end. Welcome, everybody. My name is Kelly Malash, and I am honored and I'm privileged to share this time with you as we journey together through the beautiful life of Ann Walthers and her glorious life of grace that ended on January 14th after spending 33,071 days on this planet sharing selfless love. It's really an important day when we stop to acknowledge the value of a life and the beautiful ways that a person has touched our world. We're here to stand in silent vigil and support for Anne's family and all of the friends that she made family. Anne will be extraordinarily missed by her adoring children, Susan and her husband Nick, Barb and her husband Dave, and Joanne. Anne was a deeply loved grandmother of Bobby, Victoria, Stephen, and Stephen's wife Sophie, Mandy, and Megan. Anne's sisters-in-law, Joyce and Bonnie, will hold her in their hearts forever. Elaine, Anne's dear friend, will always miss their lunching and their shopping and their best friend chats. Anne's many nieces and nephews, as well as her dear friends from Chartwell and Kingsborough retirement residents, will always cherish the time that they spent together with Anne. And as we are feeling the holes that Anne leaves in our hearts, as she left the restrictions of her body behind, we can also be warm knowing that she's back in the loving embrace of her husband, Bob, who she's been missing terribly since May the 2nd, 2012. And also standing in line to greet her with the hugest hugs ever were her siblings, Dougal, Mac, Ian, Marge, and Kate. So we gather to honor this woman that has touched many lives. And in doing so, I'd like to begin today by speaking 3 very impactful words. I'd like to say, or rather ask, how are you? How are you? I ask this because it's exactly what Anne would have done. Despite any challenges that Anne might be facing, her kind heart always was watching out for everybody else. Not only did she ask the question, Anne had this gift of listening for the answer. She dearly wanted to help everyone else have their best day possible. And regardless of the day that she was having, Anne had this amazing innate ability to lead with kindness. And thus she became a beacon to those that entered into her space. As she was in the room, the light that shone from her drew people closer. And that's the power of genuine goodness. People feel it, and without fail, they felt Anne. Tears are what I believe are truth babies. And whether you are one of the people that are sitting right in front of me to honor Anne, you included, or you are watching live stream, if you feel them coming on, may I encourage you to just let them spill over. Don't try to hold them back, because from the moment that you lost Anne, you entered into this natural and normal and essential response phase. And that's called grief. And the best way to get through grief is to do it. It's to grieve. But we live in this world. We live in this crazy world right now. But every day our world has been something that we're not comfortable with this idea, and we want to push forward in all kinds of ways. We want to drive in the fast lane. We want to go through drive-throughs to get fast food. And we want to take a pill to get a fast cure. And so we often look for the quick cure when we look at grief. But there is no quick cure, is there? There is no pill. There are no 12 steps to perfect healing. There's not an app for any of this. But the one thing that can prolong this process is to bury the feelings, is to try to be strong and the rock and power through, thinking that if you do that for so long, it won't hurt, but it will. So I just invite you to express whatever feelings you might have and to grieve in whatever manner that you need to. The death of someone that you love and you care about, it feels like the death of a part of us. No one will ever call out from within us quite the same responses, quite the same feelings or actions or ideas. Their death is the ending of one part of a story. And as we look back over Anne's life, we can ask what we received, what we can appropriate and continue on in our own lives, and then what has to be laid to rest. Our love for her reminds us that our sharing in one another's lives brings both support and pain. Our being parted from her reminds us of our own mortality, and that your love is enduring. We're grateful for our love, for Anne, for it draws us together. And it gives us a new appreciation of one another, reminding us of the beauty and the fragility of relationships. And that every single day counts, that we're alive. I have had this honor of serving as a life tribute specialist, a celebrant, a storyteller, whatever you want to call me, for many people. Some are young, some are less than young. Some die after a long and eventful life. Some die before their full story could be told. But each person has this arc to their life. There's a theme to their experiences. There's a phrase that can help us picture them in our mind's eye. And I try very, very hard to discover when I listen to the stories of that person. I try hard to hear these stories to understand the person that we've come here today to memorialize and to celebrate. And of course, when you think of Anne, you can go in many different directions. First of all, she was an amazing mother and an incredible grandmother. She was the queen of the perfect Manhattan. She was a shopping guru that wore her best suit and jacket to go out. She loved to plant geraniums. She was the creator of great plum pudding. Yet otherwise, she mastered general avoidance of all things cooking. She was a 1 cigarette a year New Year's Eve celebrant. She was a lead foot. You saw your mom pulled over today. She lived on the water, yet never made friends with the water. She was a Matawawa regular. She was a never leave home, old school person, lady, without your lipstick on. She was incredibly patient. She was beautifully kind. She was a let me warm your hands, sweet soul. All of these would describe and capture the essence of this woman, our Anne, whom we come here today to honor. And Anne found her own ways to grow, to spread her wings, and to continually evolve in the direction of joy. So Anne's life can teach us about responding to the challenges in life. She truly embodied what I believe is our greatest birthright, and that's to give and to receive great love. The rest of it is gravy. So the world became a kinder place the day Anne arrived to join her family in St. Thomas at their farm. She grew up with her 5 siblings, attending school in St. Thomas, then helping out in the apple orchard, or perhaps even with the cows at home. High school was this remarkable juncture for Anne, as not only was she likely, I'm assuming, to be an excellent student, she had excellent taste in boys. This is when she met her forever and ever. And likely unbeknownst to both Anne and her sweetie Bob, they started to chart their remarkable lives together. Their separation was merely in the theme of education and personal growth. Anne attended nursing school in London while Bob attended dentistry school in Toronto. Once they finished their respective specialty studies, they made the outstanding choice to settle in beautiful Kingsville. The moment a child is born, the mother is also born. A mother is absolutely something new. The woman existed before, but the mother, never. A mother is something absolutely new. So when Anne became a mother, she stepped into what she knew was her most privileged role ever. In doing so, she put down her stethoscope as a nurse to make sure that her nurturing energies went to Susan and Barb and Joanne. Her passions were her family, and she stepped up to enjoy and support them every chance she had. Whether it was family trip skiing where everybody learned to navigate the slopes forever or together, or acting as a chauffeur to brownies and birthday parties and swimming lessons. Anne adored making the lives of her loves both joyful and enriched. And then once you girls were more independent, she stepped back into her professional world, joining her husband's periodontal practice in Windsor. And can you imagine her joy shopping for sharp business suits while she felt her Friday hair appointment coming along, followed by that, this is a good one, Manhattan at the end of the week. And right now I'd like to pause to invite Vic up to say a few words about his mother-in-law.
On behalf of the family, Kelly, thank you very much for those kind words and words of wisdom. Great stat, 33,000 plus days on this earth. I think collectively, your grandchildren and step-grandchildren, that's about a month's worth of social messaging. I've been part of the Walthers family for over 40 years, going back to my first formal date with Susan, picking her up at her parents' house where I first met Anne. From the very first meeting, where she was most gracious and friendly, making me feel comfortable and relaxed. She probably saw my anxieties about meeting the parents and my worries about getting drilled with questions about my intentions toward their daughter. Over the next several years, while dating Susan, I became part of the Walthers get-togethers, celebrating many holiday dinners, and as usual, Anne had far too much food prepared. She was a much better cook than Bob was at barbecuing. He burnt everything on the grill. However, Anne always forgot to bring out the Jell-O from the fridge. We'd be eating dessert and she'd be running off to the kitchen and bringing back a bowl of Jell-O. Always, always. I learned early in my dating years not to engage in any controversial topics with Anne, since she was always right and I would lose every battle. Anne and I had very few disagreements, but on one occasion, and during a typical exchange of views on investments, we were at an impasse regarding her investment holdings. She was sitting on a huge gain in one particular stock. My view was to sell at least half its share because its share price was sky high. But in her typical Hepburn stubbornness, she argued against selling, commenting on the taxes she would have to pay. Not too long thereafter, the stock price cratered and became a penny stock. But she never conceded that I was right. This lesson was the topic for many years at family gatherings and a lot of laughs. Marrying Anne's oldest daughter was a real joy to her, and she welcomed me as a son-in-law with open arms. Grandchildren and step-grandchildren came next, which Anne doted on with great love. She took great pleasure in helping wherever and whenever we needed help. She was truly a guiding light. Anne expressed her love in many ways to her grandchildren, Bobby, Victoria, Stephen, Megan, and Mandy. I'm sure they will all greatly miss her love and affection. As for her two son-in-laws, Dave and I have appreciated her guidance, compassion, and kindness she has shown us. On behalf of Susan, Barb, and Joanne, the passing of your mother there is a time for grieving. Tears of sadness will, over time, be replaced by fond memories and laughter as we all reflect on our own Nan stories. But today, let's not forget the many loving memories of your mother's countless acts of kindness and caring, her voice of reason, and always there when you needed her the most. Her love for you was on full display every day and will not soon be forgotten. She's now sleeping peacefully with the angels and with your dad at her side. During her final weeks at the Chartwell retirement home, she often commented that one can live too long and that she had lived a great full life over 90 years. Her pride and joy were her children, followed by her grandchildren and step-grandchildren. You meant so much to Nan. In closing, there's a German expression that is so appropriate. It is called Schadenfreude. It means being happy sad. Today, as we say our goodbyes to Nan, we are sad that she is no longer with us, but happy that she's now resting peacefully with Bob and looking down at all of us with great pride and joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Vic. And if you look at it, yeah, over 33,000 days on the planet. She was born June 30th, 1930. I think that if anyone has a lucky number now, that's it. We are as great as the dreams that we dream. We are as great as the love that we bear, as great as the values that we redeem. We are certainly as great as the happiness that we share. We are always as great as the truth that we speak, and as great as the help that we give, as great as the destiny that we seek. We are as great as the life that we live. 4.5 years ago, Anne entered Chartwell, Kingsville, and she didn't miss a beat making new friends and being grateful for the angels in her life, like her grandson Stephen, who not only cleaned her house, but seemed to stage it. And that allowed her to enjoy her independence before she moved on. And between Stephen and Dave, she was blessed to have this independence in her life and her heart filled. On January the 14th, Anne took her last gentle breaths as it was time to leave her failing vehicle behind and embrace the wings of her soul's deserving. Vic was absolutely right. We can be happy and sad. We can rejoice this was 90 beautiful years and she did it right. She loved and she was powerful in her own right. She had a full and complete life. And she leaves behind all of you and all of you on live stream, the ones that have this story to tell of her. So now it will not only be your honor, but your responsibility to share it, especially with the younger ones. It's how we get through grief. We laugh, we cry, we go quiet, and we even go for long walks and just scream when it becomes too much. Because grief cannot be avoided. And if you try to get around it, it will hunt you down with a vengeance. You have to do this emotion. Grief happens upon you. It's bigger than you. There is this humility that you have to step into when you surrender to being moved through the landscape of grief by grief itself. It has its own time frame. It has its own itinerary with you. It has its own power over you. And when it comes, it comes. And when it comes, it's a bow down. It's a carve out. It comes when it wants to, and it carves you out. It comes in the middle of the night. It comes in the middle of the day. It comes in the middle of a meeting. It comes in the middle of a meal. It arrives. It is this tremendously forceful arrival, and it cannot be resisted without you suffering more. So the posture that you take is that you hit your knees in absolute humility, and you let it rock you until it's done with you. And it will be done with you eventually. And when it is done, it will leave. But to stiffen, to resist, is only to hurt yourself. So allow yourself the grace of grieving, collectively and individually. And never lose sight that you are moving on with Anne tucked inside of you. She's a part of your character, your personality, and your passions. And if you need to talk to her, do so. Because I promise you that she's listening. And as we enter 2021, it's my wish that the sparkle that Anne leaves lives within all of your hearts and strengthens our spirits as we work collectively to start making this world a kinder, safer, and much more saner place. To each of you, thank you for allowing me to know your mom and your grandmother and your mother-in-law. And to everybody on live stream, thank you. I think this is a wonderful mechanism that we have. And I hope that one of the benefits of COVID-19 is that for the world to have been changed for a better understanding and perspective. And one of those ways will be funerals. And this live streaming. So people just don't have to call and say, how was it? I so wish I could have been there. People can be there now. And we all understand that we wish that more people could be here. So when we get to be that person to be there for someone, I hope that we all rally and do that. And I'm glad to see that you have all rallied together and that you've shared the life of this incredible woman with me. And I'll be forever grateful for having known a little bit through your eyes and your heart. Thank you.
Can I say a few words?
Sure.
First of all, I would like to thank Joanne and the Walthers family for inviting me here today. And as we honor the life of a very beautiful, wonderful woman, Ann Walthers, my mother recently passed away. And I know the feeling, it's tough. I met Joanne not long ago while I was walking my dog along Blue Heron Trail. And we started walking together with several other people. And we do it almost every day, and it's a lot of fun. And I've gotten to know Joanne and the whole Walters family, and especially Margaret Ann Walters, and the great woman she was, and her husband, Dr. Robert Walters, another great and very faithful people. So I'd like to end, by the way, I brought some of my mother's cards, and Joanne and I, we enjoy reading the Daily Bread, reading a little religious booklet every night. And it's kind of like the highlight of our day, reading that and discussing it. So I'll end today by reading two scriptures that apply. They're from 1 Thessalonians and from the book of Revelation. And before I read them, I prefer, in the scriptures here, we use the true Hebrew name of the Creator and His Son, our Savior. And Anne and her husband Robert were great believers. So I'll end with these two scriptures. 1 Thessalonians 4, verses 15 to 18. For this we say to you by the word of Yahweh, that we are alive and are left to the coming of Yahshua, shall in no wise proceed them that have fallen asleep. For Yahshua himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of Yahweh. And the dead in the Messiah shall rise first. Then we that are alive, that are left, shall together with them be caught up in the clouds to meet Yahshua in the air. And it shall be, and we shall ever be with Yahshua. Therefore, comfort one another with these words. From the book of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given to them, as I saw the souls of them that have beheaded for the testimony of Yahshua, and for the word of Yahweh. And as not shall worship the beast, neither his image, and did not receive the mark on their head, and they lived and reigned with the Messiah 1,000 years. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you. And our director is going to come up now and give us some further direction.
So this concludes our service, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to prepare to leave for Green Hill Cemetery now in Kingsville. We'd like to thank Kelly, Anita, for, I guess, creating the space and making the space especially with your music as well. So, and to those that have joined with the stream, we appreciate you joining as well. So maybe we'd like to ask if everyone just wishes to file by Mom's casket one last time. We will have you make your way to the foyer. The four people that are going to help us with pallbearers, if you can just join our staff at the front door. They will give you some basic instructions, and then we'll just be a couple minutes. Okay, thank you.